You have to wear the white ones in honor of your wedding this weekend.
Give them to me. I got this.
Fitting.
This is my sunglass look today.
Damn, we should have had Amanda feature today.
Damn. She's working.
She worked.
I don't know if you know. Oh my goodness.
We love a working
These have
lady.
some vibe to them. All right.
Wow,
Wow, wow. We don't have that audio clip here, but maybe we can do one of these. I'm kidding.
Spooky season, question mark?
Anyway, for those of you that don't know, we're getting married this week. Woo! All right, I'm the only one that's excited.
And Michael.
Yeah,
I'm very excited now that I have a dress.
We were just talking about the renovations undergoing to our new office.
Very exciting.
After you left yesterday, John and I got a little spoofy and climbed up in the attic and started taking down the chimney.
Oh, I was just about to ask.
And then we were like, no, we're not going to do this today. And then I was, but I want to see what's going on in the back office where there's another chimney. And so we took down that wall and we started breaking into the chimney. And I was just telling Liv, I took the sledgehammer and I was like, tap, 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 tap. I ended up knocking out like every center brick. You know when you play Jenga and you're like, okay, I'm going to do the middle.
Yeah.
Easy ones. And then after a while, I was like, knock. We had the whole chimney, like 4 sides of the chimney. We ended up having it like 2-sided. And then the top was still there. The entire top above the roof. So then we reached up and like started taking out one brick at a time. Nobody got hurt in the making of this podcast. And the chimney is down.
Okay.
Well, it's about 10 feet down. We still have to go down another floor.
Do we understand now why there are 2?
Well, there's 3. And no, we do not. I can't really figure it out. I think the only thing that would make any level of sense, at the time that the house was built, there was no central air conditioning. So the only thing that would make any sense would be if the chimneys were the main source of heating.
Heard.
And so there was a chimney in every room.
Have you seen that in other properties?
I don't know that I've ever paid enough attention.
Heard.
Because I also think that
That's
90%
fair.
of properties that are this old have been like totally overhauled and renovated.
Yeah.
Whereas we're buying the old property that was like preserved and made into a rental. And I think that at one time it was a multi-unit. Like I think at one time they had 2 units. And so we're rebuilding it into one.
Heard.
But it's pretty cool and it's pretty exciting. John did rip down a wall that he should not have ripped down. Yeah. The back wall of the kitchen was like supposed to stay intact. I had just talked to Joe with Kobo Home about, we're going to keep this wall intact. We're going to move this door over here. We're going to seal this frame up. And he was like, okay, so you just want to keep all this? And I said, yeah, I'm going to keep this door frame right here. And then John goes to do something, rip the entire wall down.
Okay, in John's defense, however, when I walked in there, I said, give me directions. I just don't want to mess anything up. And you said, oh, no.
All right.
You can't. You really can't. So if I were John...
All right, let me tell you why.
I understand.
Let me tell you why you can't. Because as long as you're disassembling things and like taking things down, right? So an example would be, hey, I'm taking down the ceiling tile. I'm going to take it down. If you just reached up there with like a claw and just ripped the ceiling tile down and ripped the ceiling out, yeah, you can. That's just abuse. He was just abusing the kitchen. He got really excited pulling the bulkhead down and the whole bulkhead ripped the whole wall down.
Heard.
Nobody got hurt. That's the key.
What's the bulkhead? Was it the lining along the top?
Yeah, above the cabinets, they build down like this little bulkhead and the cabinets go up there. Whereas today, we have cabinets and they oftentimes have like a little crown molding.
Heard.
Whether the crown molding like connects all the way to the ceiling or if it just goes up.
Fair enough.
We will have just like the little crown molding. And we might not even have upper cabinets because I really like the way it looks, just clean.
Fair.
Alas. So that was our adventure. Speaking of our adventure, our topic today is
equity.
Increasing your home's equity, which I feel like we talk at nauseum. Mm-hmm. I do. I feel like I want to give ourselves.
Is that your like catchphrase of the week?
Nauseum?
Ad nauseum.
Yeah, probably. Of the week.
He's gonna. I promise ad nauseum to you this weekend.
Yeah, you know what's really funny? When you write your wedding vows, it's a lot like building equity in a home. It's the same exact concept. It's the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Everybody says the same shit. I promise to be your first mate. and your captain. It's the same thing, right?
What is that from?
Wedding Crashers.
I was like, I know.
I don't know what she said. She said something like, I promise to be your first mate.
Starboard
Yeah,
side.
something. Oh my gosh, it was awful. And she cried the whole time. I really hope that's not us, but we shall see.
We shall see.
The weather should be holding out. I'm very excited for it. We should have a wonderful, wonderful time. And it's going to be a beautiful day, whether we have tuxedos or not. Let's talk about that. We talk about insurance. All right, I will lay it out there. For all the people that have not heard, which is literally everyone except maybe Heather, Liv, and the other 7 people that know. We took all of our tuxedos.
Ordered from Thailand.
Custom fitted tuxedos for everyone in my wedding party. All of them went to the same dry cleaner to get pressed and steamed and look really good so that everybody looked really fit and finished. There were final adjustments made last month. We had all the parts. We took them all to the same dry cleaner. And that dry cleaner had a fucking Noah's Ark flood. Seriously, I have photos. You guys can text me. I will send you the photos. They had a flood that was like up to my nipples. It was the worst flood I've ever seen.
Are we allowed to say that word?
Are we allowed to say nipple? Yeah. Although my dad did yell at me last week for saying the F word too much. So I'm going to fudge.
I know. I was like, I said mess it up instead of the. And I was like, oh.
Anyway, so Noah's Ark flood comes into our dry cleaner. And our dry cleaner, this wonderful lady, wonderful, wonderful woman, she said she got to the dry cleaners at like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, witnessed this flood, and she saw our suits floating away. And she said she jumped into the water to preserve our wedding suits. Like she knew how important it was. And for me, I mean, that's like the most heartwarming thing in the world. But for me, I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my God, we can wear anything. This is your livelihood. This is your business. This is your life. And fun fact, these people had been in this store for 20 or 25 years. They just purchased the building 18 months ago. So now I was talking with them and with their son, and I said, there's a beautiful blessing in disguise here. Oftentimes, people that own a property for such a long time, they never reevaluate their insurance position. And as we're talking about equity, this is just as important. This is the same thing. We're protecting the investment that we've made. So what happens is you buy a property. Let's just say you bought it for $640,000. You insured it for $750,000 at the time, and then you turned around and you carried it for 20 years. Now it's worth $1.8 million, which is probably what this dry cleaning building is worth. There's a nail salon and so on and so forth. A very big building with parking and everything. So they would have owned it, and they would have most likely been underinsured unless their insurance agent was doing annual review on their property, the way that we do our annual equity review. So the blessing in disguise here is that they bought it only a year and a half ago. Most likely they're well insured for this property, but this thing is destroyed. So for me, I just look at, like, if you read our blog, it's going to talk all about ways to increase your home's value. And I feel like that's such a youthful, easy, communicative way of talking about your equity. But the reality is there's so many little pieces. And what I said was it's the appraisal value that you're protecting. In this story, now we're protecting it from the insurance, the catastrophic failure. And for reference, as a point of reference, this facility has had numerous issues with rainwater in the past. So much so that
Is it in a flood zone?
It's the one behind our old office. Like that location, it's not a flood zone, but there's a bottleneck of water, and the city just spent like $4 million redoing this easement that goes under the road so that this wouldn't happen. And it was very much cut down. I mean, I can't remember the last time the place flooded, and it certainly never flooded anything like this. Like this was literally Noah's Ark worth of a flood. Right? I worked at that office for 10 years. Never once did I see their front door cracked from a flood. Their front door was shattered and blown out at the bottom. Like there was so much water pressure. It was insane. Right? But they're protecting their equity because they're evaluating their insurance position. This is a great plug for Jeff Bisker at Goosehead Insurance.
Hey, Jeff.
Let's just, we'll welcome him over there, right? But as you talk about equity, most of your clients want to talk about what? Like, what do they want to say?
How much money I'm going to make whenever I sell it. I
Yeah.
feel like that's like
the number one thing.
driving point when I hear about equity.
What's the second thing?
Cashing out equity.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
Really? Then what were you thinking?
I was thinking home improvement.
Okay.
In my head, all I hear is Christian being like, hey, so this person called me and they want to put in a this, and how much will that increase their home's value? I feel like Christian gets that call all the time.
Yeah, but I think that's a little bit different of a point. I'm thinking of it as like, what are we utilizing equity for? I wasn't viewing it as much in the how can we increase equity. I was.
Oh, I mean, I agree. But I think the point here is that it's an entry level challenge.
Heard. Well, I feel like my leads are also colder too. So the people that I'm talking to are, oh, I own. Okay, well, have you thought about utilizing your equity? No, I don't want to sell. Okay, I'm not necessarily talking about that. Like just different avenues of utilizing.
Well, and I think that's the way that 90% of people think about it.
Yeah.
And it's what I want to try and communicate is that we're not looking at it from a perspective of like, hey, we have a relationship here with you. How can we help you build your equity? How can we help you protect your equity? How can we help you grow your equity, right? If you think about it, it's like a little seed that you've planted and you want to see it grow as big as possible. So if you underinsure it, if you don't make the improvements that are necessary, if you sit on, a new construction property, you never make any improvements at all, you have the most builder grade property ever, you're not going to sell for what could be. Mm-hmm. But then it's like a cost benefit ratio. Mm-hmm. The cat's like in the corner.
I know.
I don't know what she's doing over there. She's on something today. But I mean, here's the simple fact. The simple fact is that people want to utilize their equity and we have to protect it for them.
Okay.
So what I said on the To Be Frank show on Facebook Live, was appraisals are a way to protect your equity. So if somebody was to make an improvement to their home, they're going to add a bathroom, they're going to finish a basement, they're going to do these other things that are going to improve the value of their home between them and a prospective buyer. But also when we're doing that, are we thinking about an appraiser? Are we thinking about making an improvement that an appraiser is going to see value in? An example here is square footage is square footage. So an appraiser doesn't really care if there's a bedroom in the basement. They really don't. And I'm sick of people telling me that they do. They do not. They care about the square footage. But what they do care about is if you have a half bath versus a full bath. So maybe it's an extra $3,000 to finish a full bathroom instead of the half bath that costs $7,000. You can finish the full bath for 10 or 12. Maybe that's a good investment of your money. The other good example is patios, parking spaces, outdoor living spaces. They're good utilization of your money because you can spend, I think we spent $6,000 on our outdoor patio, and that's going to change a dramatic appreciation for both the buyer as well as the appraiser. There's no numbers here. It's just to say that without it, I think a buyer would feel like the house was incomplete. But without it, the appraiser might be struggling to find value. Right. Whereas they can add an easy $4,000, an easy $10,000 for something like a large patio.
So what would you say the most common additions that don't increase equity that you see are?
Most common additions that do not increase equity. Appraisal equity?
Yeah.
Most common
like
additions that
floors.
Don't increase equity, appraisal equity, would probably be new carpet, lighting, renovating a bathroom. People think that renovating a bathroom increases their home's value, and truthfully, it literally doesn't at all.
Yeah.
Especially as you look at some of these higher end homes, if you look at the 3,000 square foots, the 4,000 square foots, the 6,000 square foots, a lot of them have beautiful foyer, beautiful kitchen, all this ornate woodwork in the library, in the office. Then they have a beautiful primary bedroom overlooking such a great landscaping, blah, 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 blah. But then when you go into the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth and the sixth bathroom, it's like the most basic, simple bathroom you've ever seen in your life. And that makes sense because there's no money there.
Yeah.
If you didn't have that primary space, but you had a beautiful secondary bathroom, who's going to pay for that? Nobody.
Yeah.
And no appraiser is going to find any value in an upgraded bathroom. The buyer is going to find the value.
Yeah.
What do you see as an opportunity where people spend too much money and not enough time?
Too much money, not enough time.
Like too much money going into something that's not going to appreciate is really what I'm trying to say.
I was going to say flooring.
Flooring makes the most sense.
Yeah.
The other one that I came up with earlier when I was kind of rambling was patio spaces. A lot of people have a deck.
Yeah.
And under that deck is just a muddy pit of nothingness, which counts as nothing for an appraiser. But if you just spent a little bit of money to get some paver stones down there, it doesn't even have to be that great. It could be crass. It counts as a patio, and it's going to increase your home's value.
Fair.
Something that we did here that won't increase value is the front walkway. That's not changing our home's value. But there's something to be said for having pride of ownership.
Yeah.
Your landscaping, not changing your home's value, something to be said for pride of ownership.
Yeah.
These are things that buyers pay for, but appraisers won't.
Heard.
The interesting one was when we had a home that came in under value and we had to challenge the appraiser to say that, hey, this house was in fact worth $345,000, not $327,000. And the appraiser said, well, why do you see that? And what 99% of all sellers do, their agents will send comps. Here's a comp, I have a comp. The appraiser already found comps. What I look for are challenges. An example of a challenge would be, hey, you have a driveway and a 2-car pad, but this is in fact a 3-car parking pad. And that third car will add value, right? Or the comp that might say, hey, there's a patio that you have not yet appreciated because maybe they overlooked it, or maybe they just went out onto the deck. They took their photos, they went out into the backyard, they took their photos, and they didn't acknowledge that there was a patio, right? You have screened in porches versus 3 season rooms versus all season rooms. Sunrooms that can count as square footage versus a 3 season room that's typically not, but sometimes may be. And sometimes if you could get that appraiser to convert that into a 3 season room, a finished space, if it's drywalled and finished, of course, they're going to count it. But maybe many of these were screened in decks that added windows and then air conditioning, and that might not qualify for one appraiser's depiction of what a 3 season room really is. But truthfully, we're actually adding square footage when we do that versus a deck or a patio. So to me, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to protect your equity in making smart improvements. An example of a smart improvement might be refinishing your fireplace surround. But an example of a smart improvement might be refinishing your fireplace surround with a prefab finish that can go up in an hour or 3 versus something where someone's going to come in, pull down the fireplace surround, put up, a hand-laid tile, custom work, and a mantle that's not really going to appreciate your home's value or its equity. And so I think when we're talking about, our blog posts, you read it and it's very redundant. It's very persistently,
it goes ad nauseum.
Ad nauseum to the same topic that we've always hit. But I think if you start to look at it from a deeper lens and you start to look at what can I do to increase my home's value, it's not only what a buyer will see, but it's also what an appraiser will see. Mm-hmm. Right? Are you gaining any value from having a podcasting studio in your basement? Right? These kids that want to put up soundproof rooms and play the drums and play music and do all these other things, is that increasing the home's value, or would your money be better spent by making those things temporary? I went into a basement one time of this beautiful $1 million house, 1.4 they were asking, I think. And the room that they had set up as a gym had been converted into their daughter's music studio. Well, it was great, but it just felt clunky, right? Previously, they had mirrors all around. They had a bathroom off the gym. The bathroom was outfitted with a walk-in, walk-out shower, which was both great for handicap accessibility as well as simplicity when you're working out, having that ability to just walk in, walk out. And all of that sounded great, but as soon as it became a music room, well, that bathroom serves no purpose. And I thought to myself, what if you guys got rid of all this music equipment and re-outfitted it as though it were a gym? It would make a lot more sense to a prospective buyer looking at this home. Mm-hmm. And I just think that when we're talking about staging and preparing a home, we're not thinking about what is an appraiser going to look at, what is a buyer going to look at. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I went to my mind, and I'm wondering, is it an appraisal value to include a basement bar if it's not a wet bar?
You tell me.
I don't know. I'm like literally thinking about it now. I'm not 100% certain to that answer. Would there be a different valuation if it were a wet bar versus a dry bar? Would a dry bar be looked at? Oh, I absolutely would.
I mean, it's going to be a difference. It's just, would a dry bar count as...
Well, let's just say
something they'd appraise?
How much would an appraiser give for a dry bar? Let's just hypothesize.
No idea.
Throw a number. We neither of us know.
So well, if it was guessing. A wet bar, I would say probably like 5 to 7.
5 to 7 grand. And if it was a dry bar?
Maybe 3 or 4.
3 or 4. So we're talking a difference of, 40% right here, right? And the question that I would ask is, what is it going to cost us to make it a wet bar?
Yeah.
And my thought process is if it's going to take 2 or 3 grand, it's an even spend. So we're making money for our spend. No loss here. But I'm always thinking about the increased upside. When we're talking with our sellers about preparing their home for sale, are they increasing their home's value by painting it, cleaning it, deep cleaning the carpets? Are they increasing their home's value? No. They're guaranteeing their sale. They're making sure that their home sells for the top dollar as quickly as possible, rather than sitting on the market like a stale, stagnant property. If a buyer walks into your home and it smells stale and stagnant, it's not going to sell. It's going to do the same thing when a buyer looks at your house that's been on the market for 27 days. They're going to go, why does that smell stale and stagnant? Whether they've walked in the door or not. So let's just give them the best opportunity to sell it the quickest. And it's the same thing here. If you could make $3,000 from installing a wet bar and it would cost you $3,000, you're not making any money. You're just guaranteeing the higher price. That's all. And this is the difference between a $1.4 million house selling for $1.325 versus selling for $1.38. Because those $3,000 things add up. If you add one more parking spot, if you add one more outdoor patio around your fire pit, if you do one more bit of upgrades to your basement bar or your flooring.
And you have to think too, like the other side of this, like on buy side, like if we were talking about negotiations, I feel like this would just give more leverage.
It certainly would, especially in a market like what we see today and what we're seeing coming down the pike. Because what we've seen for the last 3 or 5 years, for anybody that's bought or sold a house in the last 3 or 5 years, it's just not real. And you guys are learning it the hard way. Because you guys got into the industry during that period of time where it was like, meet a client, show them a couple properties, they want to make an offer. The offers are all the same. Over list price, how high can you go? How much are you willing to spend? Great. Now it's like, okay, over list price, how high can you go? How much are you willing to spend? Great. Now I know this information. Let's go target the sellers and make some negotiable positions and actually go back and forth. Yesterday, Christian was going back and forth for hours, which we never see. We see it like once, but Christian started this conversation, I think on Friday night or Saturday night. And then he was going back and forth yesterday all day on Sunday. I think they might have wrapped it up this morning, or they were dealing with a pre-offer inspection. And it's like, we haven't seen those things in forever. So we're creating opportunities to use what we've learned in the last 5 years to our advantage. But if you're walking in the door with this perception of, I can do anything and put it on the market and it'll sell, it's like losing money.
Yeah, I think people are a little misled by the fact that it is a seller's market and seeing that and being like, oh, it's low inventory, so they're going to jump at my house, especially because it's perfect.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see the opportunity that sellers see in the market because what I see is I see buyers that are willing to go anywhere. 90% of all buyers will go virtually anywhere for the house that they love. I mean, you've had people that have looked in the city, in Parkville, in White Marsh, in Rosedale. That's a huge amount of land to cover. And that's one buyer. Because they'll go anywhere for the property that they like. So if you're going to improve the value of the home by putting down new carpet, well, put down carpet. Don't put down nice carpet. No offense to anybody. But if a buyer doesn't understand the difference between crappy carpet and nice carpet, why would you spend the money on the nice carpet? If you're selling a $3 million house, you have to put in $3 million finishes. If you're selling a $350,000 house, there's no reason to put in $750,000 finishes, right? You paint with a higher quality paint because it goes on easier. It applies better. You can get farther with the same quantity, and it's no difference. But you don't put in the $12,000 carpet when you could get away with the $7,000 carpet. You just spent $5,000. You didn't increase your home's value by $5,000. And for buyers that are out there, not paying attention to the quality of the materials is as foolish as anything else. Walking into a home without new carpet and then walking into a home with shitty new carpet, it's like you're being misled. And in a year, you're going to have shitty new carpet, not quality carpet that might not be the best or might not be the newest. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Fair.
Quality over quantity.
Well, and quality over quantity is what's driving our appraisal value too. Mm-hmm. If our appraiser is going to say, hey, I'm going to give you extra money for this patio in the backyard, when we're making an offer as a buyer, maybe we acknowledge that. What if we made an offer on a property? Like imagine if we went to Breck's house, his original house, the one that he sold. And we were looking at that property. We were like, all right, we'll give you $400,000. Would an appraiser ever see that value? No.
I don't remember what it sold for.
170. Oh. It was in pretty rough shape before it was renovated.
Yeah.
Right? But if we offered him 400, that'd be a great offer. He would sign off on that in a heartbeat. But you and I would know that no appraiser would ever find that value because it needs repair. Mm-hmm. Carpet's in bad shape. The exterior wasn't up to date. It didn't have any patios. It didn't even have a finished driveway. It was just stone gravel driveway, which does count for something, but not for as much as a paved driveway. Mm-hmm. So it's like maybe we can overinflate the price just to negotiate with the seller. And that's up to the way that we communicate with our buyer. But for the people that are looking to build equity in their home, it starts from the minute that you make the offer. And it goes all the way through the improvements that you make, the quality of materials that you install, and what you're choosing to spend your money on. Boom, roasted. Bring Christian up in here.
Yeah.
There you go, Christian.
Okay.
Anyway, you have any additional thoughts for people trying to build equity?
Not at this time.
I think Heather needs another coffee. We're going to go get one of those today.
I like that.
It's needed. All right. Well, if you guys ever need anything, you know where to reach us. You can get me on Instagram at michael.frank___ or on our website at frankoliverco.com. You can always reach out to me anytime and answer any of your questions having to do with equity or appraisal value, market appreciation, and all the like. And we will talk to you guys real soon. Heather, you want to let them know how you can reach you?
My Instagram is HeatherKelley230, spelled with an EY, and my number is 443-281-9500.
In case you guys are wondering, my favorite sound clip of all time.
I have a full-time job.
You're welcome, and we'll talk to you guys real soon. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. For more information on the housing market, Real Estate 101, how you can leverage your position in today's market, and so much more, click on the link below. If you like this video or have a burning real estate question you'd like us to answer, leave us a comment and let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you again real soon.